What's up, Team KBA? One Tech Traveler here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Now in my hands, I've got the iPad mini 6 and the second generation Apple Pencil, and it marks a big step or change in my own personal tech workflow as a professional creator, and why in 2023, among all of the iPads in Apple's range, I chose the smallest iPad mini, going for the iPad mini 6 over Android alternatives where I'm a lot more ingrained in with my phones, my smartwatch, and just general use. I haven't used an Apple iPad since the original first generation, so it's been over 10 years. And the iPad mini is the one that actually brings me back to their system, and also the Windows alternatives for tablets, specifically like the Microsoft Surface devices. I've also got my Alpaca vertical sling that I recently reviewed and is perfect size for the iPad mini 6, so I'll also show you how I plan to carry it in the meantime. And I've got a few accessories on the way, and I'll do future iPad mini videos. You also find my written thoughts on the iPad mini 6 at onetechtraveler.com. This is the iPad mini 6, Apple Pencil, and the Alpaca vertical sling. Let's get started. Don't want to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and unbox iPad mini, Apple logo. I've got the 256 gigabyte version, iPad mini 6th gen. This is the Wi-Fi model. Ooh. Ooh. Designed by Apple in California. Got all the instructions, Apple stickers. Quick start guide. This is actually very useful since I've been out of the iPad OS system for a long time. Got USB-C to USB-C cable, finally, no longer a Lightning connector, and probably one of the few reasons why I didn't get one, because I was such a USB-C user, and just having an additional cable specific to the iPad just didn't really make that much sense to me. And we also have a 20-watt charging brick. USB-C connector, and the plug itself is actually quite compact, and I like how it's retractable, so it's very travel friendly. The iPad mini. Ooh. Look at that purple. And here it is, iPad mini 6. So this has been out since 2021, 2 years later, but it's really held up design-wise. Hardware, it's as what you would expect from Apple, a very clean, slick exterior. We've also got nice rounded edges that is consistent with the new iPhones. And this marks a very big change from the previous generations, because we no longer have that home button. It's just the screen with slim enough bezels for this size. And that purple, it's really nice. I'm more of a blue person anyway, and you've got Starlight, which is silver, you've got pink, and you've got space gray. There's no black. And while I would have liked some of the other colorways, they've limited it to just those 4, but for me, I actually really like the purple. And so this is 8.3 inches. On the top, we've got the power button, which also serves as the new Touch ID function. It's not on the screen, but it's on the right side. We have the volume controls at the top, and we also have speakers top and bottom. A single camera on the top left corner, and then of course the glossy Apple logo in the center. With the Apple Pencil first generation, it had a hardware connector. The second generation, not only is it now wireless charging on the side of the iPad, it's also compatible with the iPad mini, and I think that's also one of the reasons that has renewed a lot of the interest. Designed by Apple in California. Follows a similar unboxing flow, so we've got all the instructions in here. No Apple sticker this time. The Apple Pencil itself. Not too much going on, considering it's literally just like a stylus or a pencil format, but This is still a very expensive accessory to pair with your iPads and probably demands a certain application or use case to make it worth it. But if you're looking for a native experience, then the second generation has come a long way from the first gen in terms of accuracy and just the ease of charging it, since it is now wireless charging and also magnetizes to the side. How slick is that? That is really nice. It's something I've seen in Microsoft Surface devices before, but considering the size, it's got enough clearance from the rounded edges. It honestly looks perfect for the iPad mini 6. It's a shame that they don't offer it in different matching colors. I think that would have been really nice. The iPad mini 6. So the number one reason why I chose the iPad mini 6 is the size. 8.3 inches is a little bit bigger than a phone and a little bit smaller than a typical tablet size, which is around 11-inch onwards. And for me, that's the sweet spot where I can be mobile and productive, being using Adobe's suites of apps like Lightroom, Adobe Rush, and also just mobile apps. On a phone, the screen estate is just too small for me to really do it for extended periods of time. My Galaxy Note 10 Plus is showing its age as rendering, queuing, buffering is a lot more sluggish, and just having that extra screen estate unlocks a little bit more for me to work with and feels more comfortable when I'm doing extended periods of typing, writing, editing, and needing a bit more power. But this was not seen as a replacement for my laptop. It was more as a travel companion to do a little bit more than what I can do on my phone and be productive without the bulkiness. I could have waited for the next generation, which is slated or rumored to release in 2024, unlocking the kind of productivity lifestyle I want on the move, versus waiting an additional year for what's rumored to be a little bit more of a faster processor, not much changes to the design, and just a little bit better. It might be more expensive. The Mini 6 is just a great entry point for me to finally do more of what I've been lacking or missing or wanting to fill in the gap of my current tech workflow. Swipe it up. Gonna get started. That's going to set up the Apple Store, and I need to actually get my email account started. It's a lot more portable and compact than a full-size tablet like 11-inch, 12.9-inch of iPad Pros. And I find it's just a sweet spot to travel with. It's a lot more pocketable. I can take it in and out quite leisurely when I'm holding it handheld without a lot of fatigue. Apple Pencil magnetizes and unlocking a lot of the extra productivity features when I'm using editing apps like Lightroom, Adobe Rush, even though I'm very heavy in Android and it was kind of the first choice I wanted to look for in tablets. But the closest one I can find is the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8, much less powerful than the Tab S8 Ultra, but it's also slightly too big at 11 inches. As soon as I go to this size, they really power down the offering, and I found the iPad mini 6 to be pretty potent for its size. It's as powerful as the iPhone 14, not the Pro, but with that, it's more powerful than select iPad models too. So even though it was released in 2021, 2023, it's actually still very capable. So to be honest, while I'm ingrained in the Android ecosystem, and I would have been happy to have that same consistent experience on a slightly larger device that gives me access to all the apps that I'm currently using and syncs well, I found having a tablet of this size, I don't necessarily have to be within that ecosystem. I'm happy to look outwards. I don't feel like I'm committing myself or needing to go into Apple's ecosystem fully, like their iPhone or their watch. I feel a tablet can work fairly independently, and a lot of my software sync among each other, so it doesn't feel disconnected. Now, a few years back, I did have the Surface Go, and I said I chose that over the Pro. Didn't need all the powerful features because I wanted something more compact and more travel friendly. I've actually given that to my partner, so she uses that. And I have my Asus ROG G14. And this one is also in 2021. I beefed up the RAM to 32 gigabytes, and this zips nicely through 4K editing and also some After Effects stuff. So for me, 14-inch is a great size to be mobile, especially as I'm traveling around. I tried to keep it compact, but I needed the extra power, and the ROG line has been very good. The newer lines of the G14 even better. So I'm pretty happy with my experience with the Asus, and I'll talk about that in a separate video review as my main drive as a creator. But that is kind of like my main device for all of the deeper stuff. But for the iPad mini, being able to just jot down my thoughts, organize it, and just have the extra screen estate, honestly, is going to be such a big game changer. So far, I really like the hardware. Like, Apple does that brilliantly, and even though I've been in the other ecosystem, Apple hardware is always impressed. It's the generation of the iPad mini to really get people invested in this type of form factor. The soft round edges are just a lot nicer to hold, and the bezels, they're actually slim enough for this, especially if I'm planning to use it more handheld. You do need some bezel. Like, having too small of a bezel makes accidental touches a lot more likely. So I find these still keep a modern, sleek design, but still functional and practical to use in my hand. I'm gonna set up Touch ID now, which is on the power button. So I'm just going to press it a few times, all the different areas. Lift the rest of the edges now, top to bottom, side to side. And I'm used to having like touch security underneath the screen, but on this size, having it on the power button is a nice compromise and doesn't feel too different. And that's currently what it looks like so far. Apps and data, I don't have any apps to directly transfer move data from Android. I'm good. I like to kind of start off with Scratch and just sync apps as I need. Hey Siri, send a message. Hey Siri, what's the weather like today? Hey Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes. Hey Siri, play some music. Cool, all trained for my voice. Quite a few things I need to set up, say okay, don't want to share. And appearance, light or dark, let's go with light. Welcome to iPad. This is the default view as soon as we set up the iPad mini. And it's running iPad OS. And I think compared to the original iPad when I first started, iPad OS has really come a long way, adding widgets, multi-windows. It builds on the iPhone experience by making better use of the screen estate. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that fares for my own use case. And I'm going to be downloading and installing a lot of my apps and doing a follow-up video of how I've kind of geared and set it up for me as a creator and the way I like to organize, be productive, and leverage the extra screen estate. iPad mini 6 doesn't have 120 Hz like the M versions of the iPad Pro. I'm really excited to get started with the iPad mini 6 in 2023 and see how it fares for my use case. I think the mini 6 still represents excellent value if you're specifically looking to be productive on a smaller type of device. If you want more power and you want to have a more full-blown or a laptop kind of replacement experience, then I would look to the bigger sizes or the iPad Pros running the M1, M2 chips. We'll see how the limitations might be if I'm trying to push it harder with the creative apps. But for now, I'm very happy with the Mini 6. I think I'm going to get plenty of usage out of it. I've got my alpaca vertical sling that's perfectly sized for the iPad Mini 6. I've used this traveling around from Indonesia to Malaysia, going from the airports and just housing a lot of my passports and documents. And the vertical nature of this sling does make it perfect to carry this with me when I'm urban exploring or just traveling. And in the back of it, there's this pocket. It's got some soft liner. This slots in perfectly. Easy to carry, very discreet. You can read my written review and watch my video on it on my channel in the links. And if you do want to get your own for the iPad mini 6, my discount code that'll flash here to help save more and get some nice premium quality everyday carry. That kind of wraps up my iPad mini 6 casual unboxing and just sharing my thoughts why I've added it to my kit. If you have any questions about the iPad mini 6 in 2023, let me know and I'll do a deeper dive on the Apple Pencil. It really needs a lot of hands-on time to share my thoughts, but for now, hardware impresses, the software is slick, and yeah, I'm looking forward to working on this. See you in the next video, but until then, keep being awesome. Peace.
Won't you come over now? Just let me hold you down. Nothing else matching your type. Nothing else matching your type. Yeah. Oh, I feel the magic